Great day, everyone. We are the Group 8 and we'll share to you our knowledge and informations about maintain training facilities, and we hope that y'all listened and learned a lot on this topic. Thank you. Number 1 is safety practice. Second is planning and scheduling. Third, problem identification. Fourth is waste management. The fifth one is knowledge in 5S, communication protocol, preventive maintenance, and the last is corrective maintenance. So for introduction, so before we proceed to our first topic, let me share to you a short or brief explanation about maintain training facilities. So the first thing that we think and imagine when we hear the word maintain training facilities is all about the places or the workplace area where instructor or trainer are giving tasks to their trainees, which all of it are just part lang naman ng pagiging ano nito. So, because according to Meligene, maintain training facilities includes planning maintenance activities, preparing schedule of maintenance, implementation of housekeeping activities, and maintaining equipment and tools, and documenting maintenance inspection. Tama, dahil we cannot consider a home without the people or family na nakatira doon. Just like a training facilities na hindi mabubuo kung kulang ng isang mahalagang parte na nagpapatunay or nagbibigay kredibilidad upang paniwala ang tunay at pagkakatiwalaan ito. Our first topic is safety practice, or in Filipino is maingat na pagsasanay. The goal of this topic is for us to know and learn what is safety practice and the other important things na nakapaloob dito. This will be helpful especially to us who's working in the hotel and the restaurants in the future. I am Cyrill, si Albos, and I hope you all listen. As you noticed, there are 6 important icons such as health, regulations, safety first, protection, insurance, and hazards. This is not a simple way of showing what to do and what we need to remember, because these are messages for us, to take care of ourselves in order to have a balanced, safety, and successful life. Employers are responsible for ensuring workers know the safest way to do their work. This includes knowing the hazards of their jobs and workplace, and knowing how to control these hazards. In any kind of job, both employers and employees must know the information about the job offered and applying for, because it will benefit the both of you kung susunod at aalamin mo yung bagay na importante, lalo na pagdating sa pagkontrol sa hazards. And having written safe work practices and procedures is an essential component of an occupational health and safety program, OHS. Ang OHS ay may procedures na nakalaan, and hindi lang ito basta susundin, dahil kailangan may goal ka kung bakit ito susundin o gagawin. And ang goal na ito ay mapanatiling maayos at ligtas ang lahat. What are safety work practices? Safe work practices are generally written methods outlining how to perform a task with minimum risk to people, equipment, materials, environment, and processes. Yes, we need to accept and admit na kahit sobrang ingat mo na for your own safety, still other people, including things, ang magre-result ng kapahamakan mo. But of course, with the help of the practices, it can lessen and avoid the possible damage to you and to the other individuals, as long as you know and follow the right way of safe work practices. Safe work practices should be developed as a result of completing a job safety analysis or a hazard risk assessment, and should closely reflect the activities most common in the company's type or sector of construction. Conducting a practices needed a result to know if it's successful or not. If successful, is a sign to continue what they are doing. If it's a failure, practices needed to improve more. There are different hazards na pwedeng magpahamak sa isang tao, lalo na't iba't iba rin ang uri na trabaho na mayroon ng individual. So, sa paraan ng pag-evaluate or analysis, it can change something to more better. All safe work practices should be kept in a location central to the work being performed and readily available to the workforce. Some safe work practices will require specific job procedures, which clearly set out in a chronological order each step in a process. Like what I've said, there are different kind of jobs, but still, safe work practices must be related to the type of job na mayroon ng isang tao. For example, kung ikaw ay retired na trabahador sa food-related job and nag-a-apply ka as a construction worker, so yung practices na nakasanayan mo as food handler ay hindi na maaaring i-apply sa construction site because it can put you in a danger and also your co-workers. It means procedures are needed to be related and followed in order. An example of a safe housekeeping practice. When liquid is spilled on the floor, a wet floor sign is placed in the area until such time as the spill is cleaned off and the floor is dry. This yellow sign na nakikita nyo is commonly used naman sa kahit anong uri ng lugar tulad ng fast food restaurants, hotels, corridors, hospitals, at marami pang iba. And we must aminin natin na that is effectively na nakaka-avoid ng mga aksidente na nagdudulot ng mga injury sa mga tao. Here are the important things to keep in mind regarding safe work practices. Let's go. Safe work practices should be easily understood and cover all the activities that occur in the workplace. Applying practices are not just an introduction to employer and employees. It must be understood and effectively applied in all times. Safe work practices needed to be completely and clearly communicated to all staff. This is not just for employees only. Also, employers must be part of the practices to show the fairness to everyone. Safe work practices should be strictly and consistently enforced. Punishment should be implemented to those who did violated and not following the right processes. This way can lead anyone to be a good listener and follower. Safe work practices can become unsafe if they are not regularly reviewed and updated as needed. Evaluation is very important to know the problems of each individuals and what problems needed to be eliminated. Developing safe work practices. The safe work practices are reviewed regularly and revised as needed by the originating group of the Occupational Health Committee. It may be the responsibility of all workers of the department to recommend changes to the safe work practices based on the needs of employees for a safe and healthy work environment. These days, everything is easier now to do, but it is difficult to workers to understand the processes needed. For example, having an high-tech machinery. Owner, workplace, employers, and employees needed to do adjustments in order to use it properly and avoid mistakes and risk. Safety is everyone's responsibility. Managers. Managers are responsible to ensure that safe work practices are current, available at all work sites, and followed by employees. Managers must provide their workers with training on all applicable safe work practices. Management must also provide training for a specific job task. Workers. Workers are responsible to follow safe work practices for all job tasks. They must assist with the preparation of the safe work practices. Workers are responsible for reporting to their supervisors and hazardous work environment encounter that should have a safe work practice or the revision of a safe work practice already in place. Occupational health committees. Occupational health committees will assist with the preparation of safe work practices by identifying hazardous work through inspections, investigations, and concerns and complaints brought to BOHC. Training and education. Each worker should know, understand, and follow all of the safe work practices that pertain to his/her specific work task. For me, this one is applicable to all people. This is also similar on following the laws of the city or a nation. It's for everyone's safety that can benefit themselves rin naman. And all workers must be oriented and trained in safe work practices. Training must be provided prior to the worker being exposed to hazards in the workplace. I think all of us are already familiar how difficult to experience accidents that cause injuries and health problems. And because of the experiences and knowledge about the training and practices na nararanasan o nagawa natin, tayo ay unti-unting nasasanay kung ano ba ang dapat iwasan at hindi dapat gawin. And lastly, review of all safe work practices should be performed on annual basis. Thank you.
Proper maintenance and scheduling, when done right, can greatly increase productivity. Below we discuss how to implement maintenance, planning, and scheduling and more. Maintenance planning can be defined as an end-to-end process that identifies and addresses any possible issue ahead of time. This involves identifying the parts and tools necessary for job and making sure they are available and laid out in the appropriate areas. Having a planner write out instruction on how to complete a job and even determining and gathering the necessary parts and tools before a job is assigned. Maintenance planning also includes tasks related to parts like handling reserved parts, ordering non-stock parts, staging parts, illustrating parts, managing breakdown and vendor list, quality assurance, and quality control. Maintenance planning should define the what, why, and how. This means specifying what work needs to be done with the material, tools, and equipment, why a particular action was chosen, why a valve is being replaced instead of seat, and how the work should be completed. Maintenance and scheduling refers to the timing of planned work, when the work should be done and who should perform it. It offers details of when and who. Scheduling is meant to schedule the maximum amount of work with available resources, scheduling according to the highest priority work others, scheduling the maximum number of preventive maintenance job when necessary, minimize the use of contact and outside resources by effectively using internal labor. When implemented together, maintenance planning and scheduling should have a significant benefit in multiple areas of your organization. This can include help with budgeting by controlling resources associated with maintenance, a reduction in equipment downtime, a reduction with spare parts, improve workflow, improve efficiency by minimizing the movements of resources between areas. Maintenance planner principle. Number 1. Protect the planner. Planners are removed from the maintenance crews and put into separate groups to facilitate specialized planning techniques and focus on future work. Number 2, focus on future work. This principle states that the planning group should only focus on future work that hasn't been started yet, so it can give the maintenance department at least 1 week of backlog work that is already planned and ready to go. Number 3, component level file. The planning group should maintain a simple secure file system based on equipment tag numbers. In other words, planners should not file on a system level but rather on a individual component level. Number 4, use planner judgment for time estimates. Planners should use their experience and skill in addition to file information to determine time estimates for work others. Time estimates should be reasonable with what a technician might require to complete a job without any issues. Number 5, recognize the skill of the tech. Planners need to be aware of and recognize the skill of their craft technician when determining job plans. Number 6, measure performance with work sampling. This principle states that range time is the primary measure of workforce efficiency and of planning and scheduling effectiveness. Range time is defined as the time in which technicians are able to work and are not being kept from working on a job site by delays such as waiting for an assignment or parts of tools, obtaining clearance, travel, time, etc. Maintenance scheduling principles. Number 1. Job plans are needed for scheduling. Job plans should include the number of technicians required, the minimum skill level, work hour per skill level, and information on job duration. Number 2. Schedules and job priorities are important. The weekly schedule and the priorities that help determine this schedule are essential to improving productivity. Number 3. Schedule based on the projected highest skill available. This principle states that a scheduler should develop a 1-week schedule for each crew based on the available technician hours, the highest skill level available job prioritized, and details from the job plans. Number 4. Schedule for every available work hour, bringing the previous principle together. This guideline details how much work to schedule. The scheduler should assign work plans for the technician to complete a task during the following week for 100% of a forecasted hours. Number 5. Daily work is handled by the crew leader. The crew leader or supervisor should develop a daily schedule based on the 1-week schedule, current job progress, any new high priority jobs that may arise. Number 6. Measure performance with schedule compliance. Scheduling success is measured by the adherence to the 1-week schedule and its effectiveness. Range time is the ultimate measure of workforce efficiency and planning and scheduling effectiveness. Planning work before assigning it reduces unnecessary delay, while scheduled work reduces delays between jobs. Maintenance planning and scheduling phases. Phase 1. Setup. This phase encompasses all the steps needed to ensure your organization is on board with implementing maintenance planning and scheduling. Phase 2. Define and analyze the situation. Phase 2 involves your team looking at your current situation and identifying the problem currently faced on maintenance execution. During this phase, you should have a representation from all levels of the maintenance process: technicians, key managers or supervisor, and even representative from procurement, finance, and warehouse. Phase 3. Develop and prepare for delivery. Phase 3 involves planners and supervisors working to establish supporting documentation and process maps, as well as defining in detail new process, roles, and responsibilities. Phase 4. Implement. Once everything is in place, this time to roll out the new maintenance planning and scheduling process. The goal here is to embed the new standard and procedures into the daily routines of all those involved until they become the new normal. Phase 5. Review. This is sometimes called the closeout phase. Here you want to ensure the new maintenance planning and scheduling process won't disintegrate when the training and one-on-one time is over. Example, celebrate successes and make sure people are aware of how their hard work is paying off. Or review what is going well and what could be better. And document this from the next meeting with the planning department. Phase 6. Sustain. This phase is considered evergreen, as process and procedures should always be improving. Be sure you have all performance metrics in place and review them in meeting, verifying that they are meeting long-term threads. Clearly define procedures or job plans for each technician performing certain tasks.
Problem identification. So, what is problem identification? So, problem identification is clearly identifying the root cause of a problem. So, and kinikilatis or inaalam mo kung ano yung pinagmulan ng problema. So, why do we need to identify problems? So, a clearly specified list of problems is the most suitable basis for identifying potential solution. So, may sinabing list dito. So, pinaparte-parte mo kung ano yung pinagmulan ng problema. Nang gayon, makakuha ka ng mga potential solutions or yung parte-parte rin na solution. So, mahirap kasi kapag hindi mo pinaparte-parte yung problema. So, magkakaroon ng parang mas mahihirapan ka. So, problems can be identified both now and the future as evidence that objectives are not being achieved. So, malalaman mo yung mga problema sa ngayon and sa future kung natupad ba yung mga objectives na inilatag or mga pinlano na objectives. How do you identify the problem? First is identify the root cause of the problem by collecting information. So, basic. Dahil kung magre-research ka nga lang, no? Gagawa ka ng research. So, para malaman mo or para masagot yung mga tanong mo dun sa i-research mo is kailangan mo mag-collect ng information. So, collecting information, bale, yun yung nagiging what do you call this? Yun yung nagiging backbone ng research mo. Yung mga information na nag-gather mo. So, combining existing research information from your stakeholders can offer some insight into the problem and its causes. Consider data sources that could help you more clearly define the problem. Develop your problem statement. So, describe how the problem occurs, kung bakit siya nangyayari. Gaano to kaseryoso or gaano kalaki, at ano yung magiging outcomes or magiging impact sa inyo ng problemang iyon. So, doing this can also help you identify any gaps in the data you have gathered. So, mas mapapadali yung paghanap ng solusyon dun sa problema yun kapag ginawa mo tong mga bagay na to. So, the problem statement you develop might include who is affected. Ayan, kung sino yung naapektuhan ng problemang iyon. So, how big is the problem? Kung gaano kalaki yung problemang iyon. And what contributes to the problem? Ano yung nagagawa ng problemang iyon sa inyo? And when and where the problem is most likely to occur. So, kailan, anong panahon, nangyayari yung problemang iyon.
Good day, Mr. Waste management. What is waste management? Waste management is the collection, transport, processing, recycling, and/or disposal of waste materials produced by human activity. Waste management reduces the effect of waste on the environment, health, and so on. It can also help reuse or recycle resources such as paper, cans, glass, and so on. Liquid waste. Liquid waste refers to all grease, oil, sludge, wash water, wash detergent, and dirty water that have been thrown away. They are hazardous and poisonous to our environment and are found in industries as well as household wastewater, as it is often called, is any waste that exists in liquid form. So, meron akong tuturo sa inyo na kung paano ma-remove o maalis ang liquid waste. Meron tayong 3 methods na tinatawag. We can remove liquid waste from wherever they located include. First is containment, second is treatment, and last is disposal. Containment, this involves storing liquid waste in barrel or tanks so that can be removed from our surrounding containing liquid waste, prevent it from being dumped in our environment. Next is treatment. All liquid waste do not need to be thrown away. You can treat and reuse them. For example, organic waste is composed and used to produce fertilizer in various stations. Last is disposal. If no treatment can be done on liquid waste, then it should be disposed of. Solid waste. Solid waste, garbage, sludge, and refuse found in industrial and commercial location. Meron akong 5 major types of solid. First is glass and ceramics. Next is plastic waste. Next is paper, rubbish. And last is metal and tins. So glass and ceramics. Numerous companies readily recycle ceramics and glass. The catch here is that you can have to dispose them correctly. Next is plastic waste. Plastic waste is any container, jar, bottle, and bag that is found in companies and houses. Plastic are non-biodegradable and most of them cannot be recycled. Do not mix plastic rubbish with regular waste. Instead, sort them out before throwing them away. Next is paper rubbish. This refers to all newspaper packaging materials, cardboards, and other paper products. Paper is recyclable. Next is metal and tins. You can easily find tins and metal in homes because food container and household materials are made from them. So most metals are recyclable, so take them to a scrap yard or recycling depot after use. You should get a skip hire and use it to transport your solid waste. Organic waste. Organic waste refers to routine meat, garden and food waste. This type of rubbish is only found in homes. With time and decompose and turn into manure by the action of microorganisms on them. But be careful, you should not dispose of them anywhere you like. When decomposing organic waste produce methane, so it must not be thrown away with regular waste. Instead, get a green bin and dispose of this type of waste properly. Recyclable waste. All discarded items like metals, furniture, organic waste that can be recycled fall under the category. Not all items are recyclable, so you have to be careful when putting things into the recycle bin. If you're not sure whether an item is recyclable or not, then check the item's packaging. Last is hazardous waste. Hazardous waste include flammable, corrosive, and toxic and reactive materials. In a nutshell, they are wastes that pose a significant or potential threat to our environment. So, meron ako ditong ways of disposing hazardous waste. The four ways of disposing of hazardous waste are: first is recycling, incineration and destruction, pyrolysis, last is disposing. Recycling. A few hazardous waste can be recycled to form other products. For the example, circuit board and lead acid batteries can be bind to other pollutants and later used as pavement peelings. Chemical levels are reduced when hazardous waste are converted to new products. Next is incineration and destruction. Another way of disposing of hazardous waste is to destroy or incinerate them. Incinerate reduces the amount of hazardous waste and can also generate energy for use in the process. Pyrolysis. Pyrolysis is a very high temperature art under inert condition is an excellent way to dispose of hazardous waste. This process is used to avoid the danger of combustion. Is the preferable when dealing with PCBs, organic waste and pesticide. Last is disposing in a landfill. A landfill is a disposal facilities where rubbish is placed in. Land treatment facilities are not landfills.
Good day, Ms. Deliova. I am Raymond Bernabe from Group 8, HRST 13, and my report is all about the knowledge in 5S. Besides of those things that is being mentioned earlier, having a knowledge with this 5S helps a lot in maintaining the training facilities. Let me first define what is the 5S system all about. 5S is a system for organizing spaces so work can be performed efficiently, effectively, and safely. This system focuses on putting everything where it belongs and keeping the workplace clean, which makes it easier for people to do their jobs without wasting time or risking injury. In short, this system makes you feel comfortable with your workplace area as well as it can help to prevent some minor or major accident that causes injuries. 5S includes Seiri or sort, Seiton or set in order, Seiso or shine, Seiketsu or standardize, and Shitsuke or sustain. The first S in 5S system is the Seiri or sort. It involves going through all the tools, furniture, materials, equipment in a work area to determine what needs to be present and what can be removed. In short, Seiri or sort means putting things in one place. There are some questions you should ask yourself before doing this stage. Those questions are: what is the purpose of this item? When was this item last used? How frequently is it used? And does it really need to be here? And I have here the example of a workplace without sorting of equipment, and the other picture shows the result after having sorting of tools and equipment in a workplace. The second S in 5S system is what we call Seiton or set in order. During this phase, everyone should determine what arrangement are most logical, that will require thinking through tasks, the frequency of those tasks, the paths of the people take through the space, and etc. In short, after you put all things that you need in your workplace, it is time to think if you arrange the equipment well according to their use. Similar to the first stage, there are also questions that you should ask first to yourself before performing this stage. Those questions are: when are items used? Which items are used most frequently? Should items be grouped by type? Where would it be most logical to place items? And are more storage containers necessarily to keep things organized? Also, I have here some examples that shows the before and after of doing this stage. The third S in 5S system is what we call Seiso or shine. The shine stage of 5S focuses on cleaning up the work area, which means sweeping, mopping, dusting, wiping down surfaces, putting tools and materials away, etc. This stage focuses on cleaning the workplace as well as performing regular maintenance on equipment and machinery that is being used throughout the entire activity. Here are the examples of Seiso or shine, which include sweeping, mopping, dusting, and wiping down surfaces. Second to the last in 5S system is what we call Seiketsu or standardize. This system involves creating ways to sustain the first three steps. Standardize systematizes everything that just happened and turns one-time efforts into habits. Standardize assigns regular tasks, creates schedule, and posts instructions so these activities become routines. This is one example of showing standardization of your workplace area. The last stage in 5S system is what we call the Shitsuke or sustain. Sustain refers to the process of keeping 5S running smoothly but also of keeping everyone in the organization involved. Meaning, if the Seiketsu or standardize involves creating ways to sustain the first three steps, in this stage it involves creating ways to maintain the four other S. To generalize, I have here a table which shows the simplest form to better understand the 5S system. The first S is the Seiri or sort, which means knowing what is inside of a workplace. Second is Seiton or systematize or set in order, which means arrangement of tools and or equipment. The third one is Seiso or sweep, which means cleaning of workplace. The fourth is Seiketsu or standardize, which means maintaining high standard of housekeeping. And last but not the least is the Shitsuke or sustain, which means do things spontaneously without being told or ordered.
Tell me about communication. Communication is simply the act of transferring information from one place, person, or group to another. Communication is more than simply the transmission of information. The term requires an element of success in transmitting or imparting a message, whether information, ideas, or emotion. Ang sabi rito, para sa akin, communication is the way to transferring an information to other person. It has a listener, receiver, and also it can give a feedback about information. Halimbawa, pakikipag-usap. May nais kang ipabatid o ipaalam sa iyong kausap na iba't ibang impormasyon. Next, what is protocol? Protocol is a standard set of rules that allows electronic devices to communicate with each other. These rules include what type of data may be transmitted, what command to send and receive data, and how data transfer are confirmed. Para sa akin, ito ay uri ng pamamaraan na nagbibigay pahintulot sa ibang bagay tulad ng mga kasalukuyang ginagamit para makipag-ugnayan sa ibang bagay. Halimbawa, kailangan ng sariling linya ng internet para makipag-komunikasyon sa iba. What is communication protocol? A communication protocol is a system of rules that allows two or more entities of communication system to transmit information via any kind of variation of physical quantity. Protocols may be implemented by hardware, software, or combination of both. Para sa akin, ito ay isang sistema na kung saan ito ay may dalawa o higit pang uri ng komunikasyon. Halimbawa, may ginagamit kang isang website na pwede ko pong gumamit ng iba pang website o sistema paraan ito para may pagpatuloy ang pakikipagkomunikasyon sa iba. There are types of communication protocol. Transmission Control Protocol or TCP used for data transmission. Halimbawa, ang impormasyon na nanggaling sa computer ay pwede mong ilipat sa isang bagay like USB. User Datagram Protocol or UDP, used by program to send short datagram message. Halimbawa, cellphone to cellphone. Sa pamamagitan ng parehong bagay, maaari kang magpadala o makipagpalitan ng impormasyon o idea. Internet Control Message Protocol or ICMP, message used for diagnostic or error generating purpose. Halimbawa, is-scanner ng virus. Ito ay paraan upang hindi maapektuhan ang iyong impormasyon na mga nakasave. Hypertext Transfer Protocol or HTTP, application protocol that uses hyperlinks between nodes containing text. Halimbawa, sa isang computer shop gusto mong maglaro pero hindi mo ito agad magamit hanggat ang server ng mga computer ay hindi mag-in para ito ay ma-open. Post Office Protocol or POP, used by local email clients to retrieve email from a remote server over TCP/IP. Halimbawa, sa Gmail, maaari kang mag-drop mail or mag-iwan ng message sa gusto mong padalahan nito. File Transfer Protocol or FTP, protocol to transfer computer files from a server to client and vice versa. Halimbawa, ikaw ay gagawa ng project, nais mo munang gumamit ng Microsoft Word o system bago ito maging isang ganap na file. Internet Message Access Protocol or IMAP, a communication protocol used by email clients to retrieve message from a mail server over TCP/IP. Halimbawa, Microsoft.com or Yahoo.com para sa iyong ginagamit na email.
Hello po, good afternoon. Ako nga po pala si Stephen Glen at ang i-report ko po ay ang preventive maintenance at ang corrective maintenance. Umpisahan po natin sa preventive maintenance. So, what is preventive maintenance? Ito ay tumutukoy sa pagpapanatili ng regular na pagpapatakbo ng mga kagamitan at tumutulong para mapanatili ang araw-araw na maayos na pagtakbo nito. Iniiwasan din ito ang mga hindi inaasahang paghinto ng mga makina at kagamitan na nagdulot ng malalaking sagabal sa trabaho at malaking gastos ng kumpanya sa pagkasira ng mga ito. Kinakailangan nito ng maingat na pagplano at sapat na oras sa pagpapanatili ng mga kasangkapan. Dapat din na subukin muna alamin ang mga depekto bago isalang at gamitin para maiwasan ang biglaang paghinto. Ang preventive maintenance ay ginagamit ng mga malalaking kumpanya para mas mapadali ang kanilang mga gawain. Kinakailangan ito ng mga kumpanyang maraming kagamitan na dapat gamitin dahil tumutulong itong i-organize ng maayos ang mga kasangkapan. So what is an example of preventive maintenance? In practice, a preventive maintenance schedule may include things such as cleaning, lubricant, change oil, adjustment, repair, inspecting and replacing part, and partial or complete overhauls that are regularly scheduled. So what is the types of preventive maintenance? Una ay ang calendar-based maintenance. Ito ay ang kasalukuyang utos na paggawa para matiyak at mabantayan ang pagitan ng oras na naabot ng CMMS o tinatawag na Computerized Maintenance Management System. Pangalawa naman ay ang usage-based maintenance. Ito naman ang pagbasa sa sukat na ginagamit ng CMMS kapag maayos na nitong naabot ang unit o ang limit. Ginawa ito para sa pangkaraniwang maintenance. Pangatlo naman ay ang predictive maintenance. Ito ay kapag nakatala ang utos na data sa CMMS, nawalaan niya o nalalaman kung magbabangga o magkakaroon ng problema ang mga kagamitan. Based sa nakaraang nangyari at gumagawa ng tiyak na paraan maiwasan ang pag-ulit ng pangyayari. At ang huli ay ang prescriptive maintenance na halos katulad lang ng predictive maintenance, ngunit sa halip na ang maintenance manager lang ang atasan sa PMS, ang kaalaman ng machine ang tumutulong sa kanila para mas mapadali ang mga gawain. What is corrective maintenance? Ang corrective maintenance naman ay ang pagpapanatili sa trabaho o mga dapat gawin. Nakapaloob dito ang paggawa ng mga sira, pagpapalit, pag-aayos ng mga sirang parte ng kagamitan upang mapagana ulit at hindi maging sagabal sa pag-aandar ng mga sangkapan. Sa madaling salita, ang corrective maintenance ang may hawak at nagsasaayos ng mga maling pagtakbo ng isang kagamitan upang magpatuloy ang tamang andar ng mga ito at hindi mahinto ang trabaho. Benefits of corrective maintenance. Maraming benepisyo ang corrective maintenance. Isa na rito ang pag-iwas sa mga hindi inaasahang pangyayari at para din mas tumaas ang kaligtasan ng mga nagtrabaho dito. Ang corrective maintenance din ang tumutulong sa mga technician na lutasin ang problema para hindi ma-delay ang paggawa at para hindi mahinto ang pagtakbo ng makina. Preventive at corrective maintenance ay magkasamang tumutulong sa pagpapanatili ng kaayusan ng mga kagamitan at tumutulong upang mas maging ligtas ang mga manggagawa at maiwas sila sa disgrasya. Tumutulong din ito upang mas tumagal ang buhay ng mga kagamitang ginagamit ng mga maliliit at malalaking kumpanya. When to use corrective maintenance? Ang corrective maintenance ay tumutulong sa pagpapatagal ng kondisyon ng isang kagamitan, tinutulungan niyang mas humaba ang buhay nito at gagamit ng maayos. Maaari itong gamitin kapag ang preventive maintenance ay nakakita ng maling paggalaw sa isang kasangkapan. Kapag ang condition base ay nakakita ng anomalya sa makina. Maaaring gamitin o gawin kapag ang sira ng mga ari-arian na hindi gaanong mahal at madaling mapalitan. Kapag ang system ay paulit-ulit na gumagana ng maayos kahit na ang makina na nito ay may sirang parte.